All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting.
Hmm.
It's called Al-Falah Marriage Bureau, and it's specifically for Muslims in Bengaluru. And we've got a lot to work with here. So we've got their website and a brochure they give out, and even some feedback from people who've used it.
Oh, wow. It sounds like we've got a pretty complete picture then.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
So basically what we're going to try to do is figure out what makes Al-Falah different from other marriage bureaus, and is it the right choice for you? So first of all, who are these people?
Well, their founder has a really interesting story, actually. So Mohammed Abdul Majid, he was retired admin manager and 72 years old back in 2018 decided that he wanted to give back to his community.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he started this marriage bureau, right?
Okay.
And he began in this really small office on KHB Main Road.
That's a pretty humble start.
Exactly, but the thing is, Al-Falah just took off.
Yeah.
It became so popular that they actually had to move to a bigger office on Sultan Paya Main Road.
Well, that's a good sign, right?
It is. They must be doing something right.
Yeah, yeah. So that brings us to the next big question. What exactly do they offer? I was looking through their brochure, and they talk a lot about a personalized approach.
Yeah, and that's what makes them really interesting. They're not just like, throwing a ton of profiles at you and hoping for the best. They actually pre-screen those profiles. They offer consultations and, support during the whole process. They even have a whole team that's super knowledgeable about, Muslim marriage customs.
So you're not just clicking a button and waiting to see what happens.
Right. There are actual humans involved in this process.
Okay.
Yeah. And they also, they use technology, but in a way that makes sense. So they've got this search technology that helps them filter matches based on certain criteria. So like age, height, education, and they even factor in subcaste.
So they're blending traditional methods with like modern technology.
Exactly. And one thing that really stood out to me was how much they emphasize privacy, especially for women. They're very clear that profiles are only shared selectively and, only after the person consents.
Yeah, it seems like they've really put a lot of thought into safety and respect, which is, really important.
It is, especially these days.
Exactly. So let's get to how this actually works. How does it all work?
Well, their website does a really good job of laying out the registration process. So basically, you provide all your personal and family details, you submit some recent photographs, and then there's a registration fee. But here's the thing. You have options.
Options. Okay, tell me more.
So you can register for 3 months, 6 months, or a whole year. And obviously, the fee changes depending on what you choose.
Okay, so it's kind of like choosing a subscription plan that like fits your budget and time frame, right?
Exactly. But here's what's important for our listeners. You're going to have to renew if you want to keep using their services after that initial period.
Okay, so choose wisely. What about after a match is made? Are there more costs involved?
Yeah, so there's something called a marriage consideration fee. It's a set amount that's paid in 2 installments. One before the engagement and then the second one before the wedding itself.
Okay, something to keep in mind as you're, weighing your options. So let's talk about the big question. Do people actually find success with Al-Falah?
Well, that's where those Google and Just Style reviews come in. And honestly, it's like overwhelmingly positive. People are praising their professionalism, their responsiveness, and just the quality of the profiles.
What are some of the specific things that people are saying?
Okay, so there's one review that I thought was really powerful. Someone described Al-Falah as a place of hopes.
Wow, that's a really strong statement.
Right. They said they had tried other bureaus and been disappointed, but Al-Falah actually helped them find someone. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to read about a service, but it's another to hear about people actually finding happiness through it.
Exactly. And, it's not just individuals. We've also seen testimonials from parents who are so grateful that Al-Falah helped their kids find someone.
Sounds like Al-Falah is really creating a sense of community.
And trust, which is so important when you're talking about marriage.
Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like they're really doing something different.
They are. As we're talking about Al-Falah, it really strikes me how much they emphasize guiding their clients through this whole process. It's not just, here are some profiles, good luck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, their brochure talks about consultations and guidance, but I'm curious about what that actually looks like in practice. How do they actually go beyond matching people based on just basic criteria?
Well, their website actually gives us a little more insight into that. They mention having a team that's really familiar with Muslim marriage customs.
Okay.
So that tells me that they're not just, offering generic relationship advice. They're actually providing insights that are tailored to the specific culture of their clients.
Right, and that makes a big difference because navigating the world of marriage can already be complex.
Oh, absolutely.
But then when you factor in like all the cultural and family expectations, it can feel kind of overwhelming.
Yeah,
So having someone who really gets that could be super helpful.
exactly. And it's not just about, the practicalities either.
Really?
Yeah, they have blog posts on their website about things like duties of husbands and wives, how to choose a good Muslim husband.
Interesting.
It seems like they're trying to educate and empower their clients to, make good decisions.
So they're not just playing matchmaker, they're almost like mentors.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so that's pretty fascinating. And remember all those positive Google reviews we were talking about?
Yeah.
A lot of people specifically mentioned how patient and supportive the staff at Al-Falah were during the entire process.
Right, which you don't really find with those algorithm-driven dating apps.
Makes you wonder if that personal touch is actually becoming more important now with everything being so digital. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to register with Al-Falah. What are the steps involved?
Their FAQ section on their website is really clear about that. Basically, you fill out a form, and they really emphasize being honest and accurate. In fact, they specifically say they'll reject forms with incorrect or exaggerated information.
No catfishing allowed.
Exactly.
Okay, what about photos? Are there any requirements there?
Yeah, so they require 2 recent photos, 1 full length and 1 passport size.
Okay, pretty standard. So you fill out the form, submit your pictures, pay the registration fee, which we talked about before, depending on how long you want to register for, and then what?
Then, according to their brochure, the Al-Falah team gets to work. So they match you with potential profiles based on your preferences, and they send you weekly updates.
Okay, so you're not just left wondering what's happening.
Right, they keep you in the loop. And they even mention using state-of-the-art search technology to help with the matching process.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that. Do they actually say,
They do say that their filtering process considers things like age, height, education, and even subcaste.
okay, so it's not just swiping left or right based on a picture?
Right. It sounds like they're really trying to understand people's needs.
Yeah. And something I was really impressed by was their focus on privacy, especially for women. I mean, they're very clear that women's profiles are shared very carefully and only if they give their consent.
Yeah, and that's so important. They specifically mention prioritizing the safety and security of women's profiles.
And you can see that reflected in the positive feedback they get. People actually say that they feel comfortable and respected throughout the whole process.
That's great. It sounds like they've created a space where people can really, feel safe and supported in their search, which can be hard to find.
Yeah, I agree. So we've covered a lot: the founder's vision, the personalized approach, the technology they use, their emphasis on privacy. But
Yeah.
let's circle back to the clients. We talked about all those glowing Google and Just Ask It reviews, but let's delve a little deeper into the success stories.
Okay, yeah. So remember that section on their website called What Our Fantastic Users Say?
Hmm.
That's basically a whole collection of testimonials from people who've used Al-Falah.
Oh, yeah, I love reading those. You
Yeah.
get a real sense of like how a service actually impacts people's lives.
Exactly. So, let's take a look at some of them. Was there anything that stood out to you?
Well, there are a lot of general comments about, how professional they are, how responsive they are, the quality of the profiles they got.
Right.
But there was this one review that really stuck with me. Someone described Al-Falah as a place of hopes. They said that they'd tried other marriage bureaus and had bad experiences,
Yeah.
but Al-Falah actually helped them find someone.
That's amazing.
It really is. It shows how that personalized approach can really make a difference.
Totally. And there was another one where someone actually thanked Al-Falah for guiding them until the last rituals, which I thought was really interesting. It really shows how committed they are to their clients' success.
Wow, that's going above and beyond.
It is. And it's not just individuals praising them either. We also see a lot of parents thanking them for helping their kids find partners.
Oh, wow.
It's clear that they're doing something right.
That's so heartwarming. But we should mention, amidst all this positive feedback, there was one negative review. This person said that Al-Falah focused too much on superficial aspects.
That's true, but Al-Falah actually responded to that review.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They said that their main goal is client satisfaction and that they're always trying to improve. So that's a good sign that they're open to feedback.
Yeah, for sure. And even with that one negative comment, the general feeling seems to be that Al-Falah provides a really valuable service, one that's really rooted in helping people. So, I mean, they're offering this personalized and culturally sensitive approach to matchmaking, and their track record really speaks for itself.
It does. But here's a question for our listeners. Do you think this type of personalized service is even more important now in today's world? I mean, everything moves so fast, it's easy to feel disconnected. And what do you think the downsides of this approach might be? That's something to think about as we continue our deep dive in the next part.
Yeah, definitely some food for thought there.
Yeah.
Join us next time as we wrap up our exploration of Al-Falah Marriage Bureau.